Back in 2018, we got the Fortuna update, and with the Fortuna update came a whole bunch of interesting weapons, including this puppy right here, the Battacor. It was amazing, it was cool, it was quirky, it was gimmicky, it packed a punch, and it also slowly faded away with time. So today, my friends, it's time to see if the Battacor can still pack a punch or not. As always, my name is Leyzar, and I got a couple of builds lined up. Something cheap, something affordable, something that a more casual tenno can get into, but rest assured we also got the Endgame setup with galvanized mods, prime mods, a Riven. We're gonna be taking it to Steel Path. Basically, we're gonna put this one through the ringer. That said though, please bear in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Battacor. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that we're gonna do just a couple of our regular free shots. The Battacor has two fire modes. Primary fire mode will be semi-automatic burst. Essentially the weapon fires this really cool projectile, but that means you will have to contend with the travel time. 2 ammunition is used per shot, so effectively even though your magazine is 60, you're gonna be getting 30 shots out of the weapon. Now, that's the primary fire mode, pretty simple and self-explained, but the secondary fire mode is a bit cooler than that. Let's spawn in some lower level enemies so I can show you exactly what I mean. I got 3 little black dots knit to my crosshairs. You see that? When I kill an enemy, one of those black dots will turn white. That represents my current charge level. And with any charge level, you can access the secondary fire mode. In secondary fire mode, this one becomes kind of like an Opticore, but not really. Take a look. It charges up and releases a devastating blast upon enemies. Now that blast has 2 damage components. First of all, the projectile physically making contact with a target. Then you got an explosion for about 3.4 meters. So even though it might look like an Opticore, it's not really an Opticore. And of course it will detonate on contact with a surface or an enemy. One last thing, yes, for the full damage you will want all those 3 little dashes. That will be a full charge. So do bear that one in mind. Now let's hop into stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. Mod capacity 60 out of 60, and if your comes with a measly 30 out of 30, you jump into actions and you plug in that Auto King Catalyst to double your mod capacity. Is it worth it on the Battacor? Definitely. It's a quirky, cool, nice primary weapon that is capable of delivering quite the punch. Now, of course, it's not the most powerful primary weapon in the game, but there you go. There's only one, the most powerful primary weapon in the game. When it comes to the XL slot, you know what? Save your plat. Save your plat, save your resources, save your time, because the Battacor doesn't really need much of anything on this one. The recoil on the weapon is pretty small and quite manageable, even if you're playing on a controller. A good idea would still be terminal velocity for that projectile flight speed, but honestly, considering the base projectile flight speed of the weapon, you don't really need this one either. But of course, pick your favorite. Fire rate 3.57 in primary with a magazine of 60 but effectively 30. Noise alarming. Reload on 2 seconds, which is not bad, not terrible. And Riven Dispo 3 out of 5. Fantastic for this one. It's not a super popular weapon, but it's not ignored either. It's still worth getting Rivens for this one. And the prices for unrolled Battacor Rivens are not exaggerated. Auto burst for the trigger on primary mode. And the damage, take a look at those crit stats. Beautiful, 32% with a 2.4x critical multiplier. Status chance only at 18%, but again, you do have that burst fire mode, and you will have multi-shot, so it should be all good. Damage, puncture, which is fantastic against heavily armored targets, and magnetic damage. Now, magnetic is fantastic if you're gonna be hitting shields. Keep in mind that this weapon came out with Fortuna, we were killing Corpus all the time, so it was ideal for that. Next, the charge damage and the radial attack. Keep in mind that these are being treated separately, but the critical stats are a little bit better. 34%, a lot more, with a 3.0x critical multiplier, but the status chance is basically non-existent at 8%. Again, we have multi-shot. It's gonna be better because it won't be treated as a single blast. For example, like a beam weapon, it will be multiple projectiles. Damage, true radiation damage, which makes it viable if you guys want to take it to an Eidolon hunt. Now, don't get me wrong, there are better weapons for an Eidolon hunt, because you need to get kills to get your charge shot to use the secondary fire mode. You can use this one, on the other hand, you can use a toothpick to kill an Eidolon nowadays, so there you go. Better critical stats, and you also got a punch through of 2.0 meters. Before we go to a build, I want to clarify something regarding galvanized aptitude. Does it work? Does it not work? Because this is an explosive weapon, so does it work? It works just fine. On 2 of the 3 possible instances this one can work on. It works in primary fire mode without any issue whatsoever, and in secondary fire mode on the projectile making contact with a target damage component. Right here, this 208 galvanized aptitude does offer its damage bonus. But not here. The explosion does not get any benefit from galvanized aptitude in the sense that damage benefit. The status chance you're still gonna be getting. So do bear that one in mind. Now, about that standard build. Damage with Serration, multi-shot with split chamber, critical chance, critical damage with critical delay, as well as vital sense. We also got 100 munitions on the weapon with the 260-60 vital mods. This is the standard approach to primary crit weapons. I'm gonna showcase this one, then we're gonna switch things up a bit because honestly, I'm bored to death of this bloody build. If you don't have Malignant Force, if you don't know where to farm it, Corrupted Void in the Void, if you don't have Rhyme Rounds and you don't know where to farm it, Spy Missions. These are all easily accessible mods for newer players in the game. This is more of a casual player build, something to treat as a jumping off point. And if you don't have the Endo to max Serration out, leave 2 from the top. Trust me, it'll be fine. This is your option slot. Plug into this one whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you have. You want to go for Prime Shred for the fire rate? You can do that, especially for the primary fire mode. It's not the worst idea in the world, but it kind of messes around a little bit with the explosion in secondary fire mode, so do bear that one in mind. You can even get Prime the Firestorm or whatever else. They increase your explosion radius, but it's only 3.4 by default, so it's not going to have a huge impact. My recommendation is try a little bit of fire rate with the weapon because it makes it seem a bit more streamlined. And speaking about streamlined transitions, this isn't one of them. So let's go test on Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120 as per the usual, just so we can get a feel for the weapon's performance. And then I want to do something a bit more corrosive for old time's sake. Of course, we're going to go for headshots as per the usual. Put in a couple of shots and boom, 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 slash vital wins every day. Slash vital wins every day for years, dear D. For years, slash vital has won. Are you not bored already? Yeah, the weapon works fine. It packs a punch. It's gonna kill targets. Yeah, beautiful. But what about that secondary fire mode? Kaboom! Now with this one, take a look at the value of the bleed. 57,000. Awesome, beautiful. Yes, one shot. See, well, yeah. If you get the proc. If you don't get the proc, then, well, not as much. And yes, you will still be getting charge meter if your target dies under the effect of something like Vital Slash. And I would only really use the secondary fire mode when it's fully charged up. For example, you got a big target heading to you, one of those fancy ones, and boom, you hit him with something like this. No Vital proc there, still 28,000, still a one-shot without any problem whatsoever. So my dear friends, the weapon does perform. Of course, it performs and has a little bit of flair. It has a cool little gimmick which actually holds water. It is quite powerful. Now let's see what it can do with a corrosive setup. High voltage and malignant force to form corrosive, and we also got thermite rounds. So essentially the build right now has corrosive, heat, and magnetic. That's weird. Yeah, honestly, it's kind of weird, but it will absolutely nuke the corrupted heavy goons, or should at least, because corrosive against heavily armored targets is definitely the way to go. And I kept my fire rate because honestly, after you use fire rate on a weapon, it's kind of hard to go back. You guys know exactly what I mean. And again, we're going to be going for headshots, but in this case, my friends, we have no more procs to deal a whole lot of damage. Well, we have the fire procs, the heat procs, but they're not as, well, not as potent as Vital Slash, of course. Take a look at that. This is kind of the experience you can get. Now let's use the secondary fire mode. Boom, big bada boom explosion. No slash, no anything whatsoever. It took off like, what is that? 60-ish% health of that corrupted heavy goon. So if you're looking for a game style a bit more like this, for something like corrosive and heat, or corrosive and your favorite, that's totally fine. It will still perform decently well. Now my friends, let's assume you have all the mods, bruh. I have all the mods, all the galvanized mods, all the prime mods. I got money for the Riven, and by money I mean plat. You're looking at something like this. Now I am using galvanized aptitude. Again, you should use it too, as long as you are cool with the fact that you're not getting that benefit on the explosion portion. You're still getting on all the projectiles hitting your target, and you still should go for headshots. This being a critical weapon, you're not getting it on the explosion. I still think it's worth. Galvanized chamber instead of the normal one, and this is still a Vital Slash setup, and we got the Battacor. Seti Kron. Critical damage, multi-shot minus reload speed, yes. Yes. Critical chance, as I said damage, critical chance, multi-shot reload speed. Actually, in this case, it would have been critical damage. Mathematically, it would have been more powerful than critical chance, but there you go, beggars can't be choosy. We didn't talk about the arcanes, did we? Oh, damn, I forgot. Don't worry about it. Primary Deadhead if you're gonna be going for a corrosive setup like the one I just showcased. Primary Dexterity if you're gonna be using it in tandem with your melee. And Primary Merciless, as per usual, it's gonna be essentially the best in slot for a viral / approach. Did I check to see if I have... Okay, I have nothing here. And make sure you have nothing on your focus streak, because Madurai can skew the test results as well. One more time for the goons which are corrupted and they are level 120. Go for headshots. No fire rate on this one, Battacor. And my friends, this is a galvanized setup. Notice the absolutely bloody huge difference, humongoid. Look at that, that was a single shot, dude. Charge shot. Beautiful. I don't know, man. This is the joy I get out of building these weapons. And even though a lot of them are similar to one another, obviously, and the builds don't really change a whole lot from weapon to weapon, I still get satisfaction each and every single time. So ask my friends, wow, that's beautiful. Are you not entertained? It's a beautiful weapon. Honestly, if you got the galvanized mods for it, if you got a setup like this, it is so hella satisfying to use. But I hear you, you're gonna say, hey listen Leyzar, these guys kinda stand still, this is a critical weapon and you're going for headshots, that's cheats, dude. Well, let's hop on over to the path of steel. Welcome to the void, my friends, and take a look at this unsuspecting target. What the? Okay, so it just flew off. A corrupted heavy goon, level 100 and... What are you guys? Hold on. Level 100 and... I don't know what it is. It's gonna die from the bleeds and the procs, and I'm not even fully stacked on my galvanized stuff. Keep in mind to take off the little sentinel shield drone every single time. Now this being a projectile-based attack, did I mention you should lead your targets? Because you should lead your targets. As you can see, getting headshots on standstill targets is still a thing, and even in actual gameplay, thanks to Revenant and his outstanding second ability, Mesmer Skin. As the performance of the weapon, honestly, it's pretty good. It's definitely oh wow, there it goes the Fleximus. No more Fleximus. You wanna do a charge shot on this guy? I don't wanna do a charge shot on this small guy. Fine, we'll do on this small guy. Absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. Yes, my friends, you can expect good performance out of the weapon in Steel Path with no problem whatsoever. As you can see, the one-shots are a thing when it comes to this outstanding, glorious weapon. Frame more buffs, and for that we're going to be using the ever so lovely Lady Mirage Prime and her outstanding buffs. Honestly, the weapon is hella beautiful as well. Corrosive projection against heavily armored targets, if that's what you're interested in. Honestly, you don't really need to go into this one. You can live without it just fine, especially if your build calls for something else. Something like Growing Power, Energy Siphon, and all whatnot. Arcane Avenger is definitely not a bad idea on this weapon, especially considering that you're going to be getting the bonus from Avenger to your primary, secondary, and to your melee at the exact same time, making this one extremely powerful offensive arcane. It's 45% critical chance for 12 seconds, bonus additive after. As for your second arcane, you can go for something like Acceleration. Why not? More fire rate, but on the other hand, if you already built fire rate on the weapon, you might want to go for even more flat damage, such as Rage, depending on how you build your weapon. We're gonna keep the fire rate in this case because I did not build fire rate on the weapon for the Riven setup. As for companion buffs, you got one or two options. You can either go with a Panzer Vulpaphyla and not build viral on the weapon. You can switch to Corrosive Heat, which would be fantastic. And the second option is to use a Sentinel. Honestly, any Sentinel will do. Just make sure that on that little Sentinel's weapon, you have the 4 Vigilante mods, Offense Supplies, Fervor, Armaments, for the 20% chance to enhance critical hits for primary weapons. Now, even if that little Sentinel dies and never comes back to life, you will still retain that buff. We're going to be spawning in level 165 Corrupted Heavy Goons. We're going to be unpausing them so they can hit me and I can get my glorious buffs. As for Mirage, her Empower ability and her free ability Eclipse, Eclair, and her ever so lovely clones. We're gonna go for headshots as per usual. Take a look at that glorious, glorious red on the screen. Thank you so much, Arcane Avenger. Look at that. These are not charge shots. This is just the burst shot, which is absolutely bloody insane, man. Making quick work of high-level corrupted heavy goons. Now, of course, you also got that explosion, but a 3.4 meter radius is not really all that high, but it's still good enough to do this. If it had slightly larger explosion radius, something like 5 meters, it would have cleared the whole pack. And this is what the Battacor is capable of doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. As always, my name has been Leyzar, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, and if you love the content, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.